Every Game of Thrones season needs its wedding. That doesn't quite go right in the end.
She knows that this is going to be a marriage of convenience, so she wants to make it as convenient for herself as possible.
Otto doesn't mince his words. The only outcome is death.
We allude to Lady Rhea all through the season, and so it felt like a good way to meet her was literally just before we kill her.
There was this line in the book that always fascinated me. Daemon's wife, the Lady Rhea Royce of Runestone, fell off her horse and her skull was crushed in the fall. And I read that and I was like, that's such a weird detail to include with no context around it. So I stared at it and I was like, well, Daemon obviously went home and murdered his wife. And we made a whole little short film story about it. We liked this idea that she was actually a tough woman, no nonsense, who wasn't as Daemon described her, but probably just somebody that just didn't really like Daemon.
What will you do now?
We never know whether Daemon went there to kill his wife or not. And that's what Matt plays so interestingly. You never know what's going on in Daemon's head, yet you believe him when he makes split-second decisions and goes for something.
I think he just takes advantage of an opportunity. He's about to walk away at the end, and then she throws the final insult his way, and then he finishes it off.
Viserys has decided he's just got to marry Rhaenyra off.
Dare I say it is a matter of taste? I prefer roast duck to goose. I cannot say why.
They're trying to see if they can get along, because it's not a choice at the end of the day. It's the ultimatum, really, isn't it?
It's humorous, but it's also just very clear that they're both at peace with their sexual desires.
It's a very modern conversation set in medieval subtext. They're essentially agreeing to have an open relationship. Their fathers have both insisted upon this marriage pact. It's not either of their choice, but they decide to do their duty.
Who are like stuck in the past and old-fashioned ways.
The time is coming, Alicent. Either you prepare Aegon to rule, or you cleave to Rhaenyra and pray for her mercy.
Alicent says goodbye to Otto. It's a lot for her to try and process. I think because it's a conversation that she wasn't expecting, and I don't think she sees this side of her father often. These characters really struggle to get vulnerable, and yet in this moment, there's desperation there.
I think he wants to say, I love you, and I'm scared for you. But those words aren't in this world's vocabulary.
As much as she doesn't want him to leave, at this point she trusts Viserys' word and she trusts Rhaenyra's word more than anything else. That duty part of her mind is saying, this is the right thing, you know, this is what needs to happen.
When Otto leaves, she's ultimately completely alone, and that's when she has to dig deep and find out what she's truly made of.
This episode is her coming out. Otto challenges her. Who are you going to be with me not here to guide your way?
On the very same night your father was dismissed, the Grand Maester delivered a tea to the princess's chambers.
Tea?
Yes.
Sometimes that's what it takes, anger and betrayal, and then people rise out of the ashes of that and know who they are.
Alicent, I think, snaps. She realizes she's been lied to by Rhaenyra and decides to make a statement about where her allegiances are.
Alicent doesn't like to be observed. She is the observer, but she comes in and she holds the room. For once, she looks like the queen.
Rebellious, strong, powerful, dressed in green, owning it for the first time in her life.
I'd like to see how many people pick up on the colour green and its meaning. Even though we explain it, I think it's also quite a subtle statement that's being made.
The beacon on the high tower. Do you know what colour it glows when Old Town calls its banners to war? Green.
She doesn't need to come in and shout and scream at Rhaenyra. Because of the dress that she's wearing, that says enough. She is a high tower through and I know where I stand.
Congratulations, stepdaughter. What a blessing this is for you.
The fun of that sequence is playing on the audience's expectations of a Game of Thrones wedding and knowing that these things tend not to go well. From the very first frame of that wedding, setting up all the dynamics going on in that room, really paying off all of the things we've been building to at this halfway point in the season, and you just don't know where the explosion is going to come from, and then it comes from the most unexpected place when Kristen Cole finally just snaps.
It's a scene of chaos and anger unleashed. All the people at the top table who have been trying to control their kids and manipulate them. This is the result of that.
Poor Viserys. So many times in the show, you see he has these grand plans, you know, his tournament, his hunt, and they just don't come to fruition the way that he wants them to. So at the end of this, the thing that was supposed to be a grand affair in the beginning of a long lead up to a great royal wedding, he throws a shotgun wedding at the end just to get it done. He quietly forces the Septon to marry them, with poor Laenor bereft over the loss of his lover.
I am yours, and you're mine. Whatever may come.